what can you do to protect your kids and grandkids in multiple generations, protect what you leave them from certain types of taxes, from certain types of divorce risk, lawsuit risk. Let's talk about that. Well, the main thing that we recommend if you want to protect your kids, and I'm on record, I think both of us are on record saying this, you should not leave your kids anything. That's the way to protect them. Leave nothing to your kids. Whenever you have live talks, Mike brings this up and everybody looks at me and I'm like, hey, I'm actually on the same page here. We're not saying don't leave anything for the benefit of your kids. We're just saying don't leave anything to them directly. This is next level planning, but there is no reason why this should only be for ultra high net worth families who've been doing this for generations. So it's supercharging your planning. Mike has a recent article in Bottom Line Personal Magazine. It's on our website. Go to gilfix.com. We have many videos about this on Gilfix, on our Gilfix Law YouTube channel. But what are we talking about? We're talking about dynasty trusts. And just take a moment, close your eyes. I know we're going over a lot of information here, but visualize what you picture when you hear the term dynasty trust. You probably have an image, something like this, dynastic wealth, a mansion in the countryside. Although I always point out that a mansion like this in certain parts of Europe is probably worth less than a 3-bedroom teardown in Sunnyvale or Palo Alto. But that jokes aside, I think the term is terrible because it sounds like you have to have dynastic wealth for this to be worth doing. That is not the case at all. You might consider yourself middle class or maybe lower middle class in the Bay Area. We still recommend these for virtually every family that we work with. So what do we mean here? Instead of leaving money, let's say you have two children, a son and a daughter, you'd have your own separate living trust, but instead of leaving money to your son or instead of leaving money with son and your daughter, you create a family protection trust for your son and a family protection trust for your daughter. They should be separate documents, separate trusts, not part of your living trust. And you say in your living trust, I'm not leaving money to my son and daughter, I'm leaving a share of my estate to my son's family protection trust and a share of my estate to my daughter's family protection trust. Why do we recommend this? Well, now let's go back to the slide. And again, by the way, our firm's version of this is a family protection trust. The generic type of trust that this is a dynasty trust. So again, there's 3 big reasons why you would do this. So 1, divorce. Divorce rates are still over 40%. If you leave assets to your child, if they commingle it with their significant other, they get divorced, a big chunk of what you left them could be lost and could go to support some family that has no connection to you in the future. If you leave in a family protection trust, you're creating a structure. It's like a version of a prenuptial agreement almost. It's not a prenup, but it kind of gives a structure to keep those assets separate and on your side of the family. If your child and significant other stay together forever, great. It's there to support them together, but if something happens, you've created a structure to protect that from a divorce. Lawsuits. I mean, we live in the most litigious society in the history of the world. I think AI is going to increase the number of lawsuits because it makes it even easier to file. There's already so many horrible lawsuits. Some are legitimate, but so many are just, cash grabs, right? And AI is going to make that easier. If you leave money directly to your child, it is 100% exposed if they get sued. If you leave it to a family protection trust, nothing is guaranteed. This doesn't lock it up, but you're making it harder for third parties to go after those funds because they don't belong to your child. They belong to the trust. There's other steps they can take to add to that protection. Again, nothing's 100% guaranteed, but it's a lot better than them holding it themselves. And most lawsuits settle out of court, so this is a deterrent for someone to go after that. They have another step they have to take to go after a trust, not just your child. So there's protection there. And this is I think the most powerful for many families. Again, we have very favorable estate tax rules right now. You can pass $15 million per person. I do not expect that to last. I think it's the exemption could plummet in coming years. I mean, look at where the political winds are blowing. We have the far left is ascendant in some cities. I mean, look at the nominee, the Democratic nominee in New York. He's a Democratic socialist. Let's say we had a Democratic socialist government in place. What do you think estate tax laws would be like then? We might have no exemptions. So right now we can pass a lot, but in the future it might be much tougher. If you leave assets to a family protection trust, subject to some limits, the assets are protected from estate taxes for your child when they go from your child to your grandchild. So anything you leave your child directly is exposed to estate taxes when they pass away. If your child inherits $2 million, invests it well, it grows to $6 million, $8 million. Add that to whatever they've earned, all of that is exposed to estate taxes when they pass away. If you create one of these trusts, to a large extent, what you leave them plus the growth is not part of their taxable estate, meaning it continues for the benefit of your grandchildren, estate tax-free. And this is where, even if you don't start off with that much, it can actually be a multi-million-dollar benefit to your family. So it's kind of a way to do the best you can to future-proof your estate. Again, control what you can control. This is a really powerful step to protect future generations. And by the way, these trusts last for about over 2 generations in California, so it's really kind of a prenuptial agreement type thing for not just your child, but your grandchildren, if that trust stays in place, and it's multi-generational estate tax protection. And you might think this sounds really great, but it sounds really complicated. I don't want to have some third-party sketchy trustee in charge of things my child can manage for themselves. Well, hey, if your child is responsible and of age, they can be in charge of their own trust. Now, in the future, they may want to step down and appoint a third party, but if you allow it, they can be the trustee of their own trust. So they can essentially have some protections and still manage the trust for themselves and to make sure that they and their family are supported. So they're really powerful tools. They last, again, just over 100 years in California. Some states, they last longer. But they're really, as you point out, Dad, it helps your kids, and it really helps your current and future grandkids, as you like to talk about. So, we think these should not just be for the ultra wealthy. Again, ultra wealthy families have been doing this for years because they have family offices. We're going to talk about that in a little second. They have teams of advisors. You have teams of advisors too. We're part of that if we get the chance to work with you. And we strongly recommend for almost every family, if there's special needs issues, you should create a different type of trust, special needs trust. But if your kids don't have those special needs issues, this is our typically very strong recommendation. So just consider these. It's a very worthwhile tool to consider adding to your estate plan. You got to make sure they're up to date, by the way. Make sure the trustee provisions are correct and that you feel good about it.